So my name is Simone Torres. I'm a vocal producer, engineer, artist, and now educator, community builder, and just expanding what creative means to me and getting into different things that bring me joy.
Amazing. So I guess in the spirit of starting simple, maybe let's start at the beginning. And so, when was the first moment that you knew that sound was your thing?
So since I was little, singing was such a huge part of my life. And it's just a really big part of my identity. I started gigging professionally when I was 9. I made my first album when I was 11. I opened for Macy Gray when I was 14 and just did a lot of things as a singer, in the singer world. And I gigged for 14 years. So every weekend, whatever, from when I was 9 until college and then throughout college. But I never had any recordings that I was proud of. I would be put in with these producers or engineers, and I didn't know how to communicate what wasn't right. I just knew that it didn't feel like me. And so I hit a bit of a breaking point around when I was on X Factor in 2012. And, it was all of this attention, and I was put in the room with all these producers, and I had no way to follow any of that up because I didn't know how to record myself. And they weren't making me sound the way that I wanted to, or the way that I felt, or even the writing. I didn't know how to write music at that point either. And so I took the last 10 years. I mean, now it's more than that. So 2012 was when I started. So I took 10 years and just really dug into audio, really heavy. And I really found that I loved it because I loved the technical side of things. My mom was a calculus teacher, and my grandpa was head of the math department. I just always really loved things like that, but I was such a music kid. So when I found that there was something that tied both, I thought that was so cool. And then, vocal production, I kind of fell into a little bit because I didn't know it existed. I had spent so many years as a singer and a performer and, having to retrain my voice and go through vocal surgery and all these things. And I didn't know vocal production existed until a class of mine, a teacher did a presentation on a vocal producer. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I feel like this weird skill set that I have is perfectly situated for. And then I started vocal producing. And then now it's kind of come full circle. And I finally can put out the music that I want to make. And I have the power to make that all from my home studio. And so I started releasing music last year for the first time.
So you went to school, did you go to school for sound or is it for?
Yeah. So I went to Berkeley in Boston, and I went for music business and music production and engineering with a minor in commercial record production.
Is it true what they say that I've heard, I've got a couple friends that have gone through Berkeley, and I remember I went through sort of a for-profit school in Toronto that I saw on Much Music, which is our MTV equivalent. And I remember I was on the verge of joining the military. It was either I come from a military family, and I was also in the middle of nowhere, extremely rural Canada. And it was do you like making music and do you like video games? Then you can go to this school. And I was like, well, I think I'd like that stuff, and I want to do that.
I like both of those things. Yeah.
I had a multi-track recorder, and I had no, aside from in the school plays and stuff like that, being tapped in to be the person that knew how to work this console. Barely at that point, it was all voodoo to me. But I submitted my demo reel from my Zoom 12-track recorder thing, and little did I know that they're basically if you were willing to pay, you're in. And so I went. But I've always it was a clear choice. It's go to Toronto for music production, or Gagetown, New Brunswick to be in the army. So very, very clear choice. No regrets there. But I for years after getting out of that school, I remember kind of having a bit of a chip on my shoulder about what it was, what I had spent money on, and kind of the debt that came following that. And I kind of always believed that you could just go and get a textbook and learn a lot of the fundamentals of audio on your own. And, the rise of YouTube at that point, where information started getting better and better on YouTube. Yeah. Which, I mean, now you're a leader in the space in terms of education in a live sense. But let me bring this around to you. Berkeley here, and it's the people that I met later in my life who had gone through Berkeley were had such an amazing network of people that also went through that school that they've been tied to, where a lot of the people I went to school with kind of fell out of the way. So is that somewhat true for your experience? Do you feel like maybe these big flagship music schools, you're in some ways paying for a great education, but B, for the network of it at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, the network is such a huge part of it. I would argue the most important part of it. Yeah, because the thing is too about music and working in a technology field, things are going to continue to grow. You always have to keep learning if you want to keep up. So at some point, like the technical things that are being taught are going to become obsolete, but what doesn't is your network, is your community, is the people that you're coming up with. And I definitely think that was the biggest part of Berklee for me.
Were there any moments kind of early on where you thought, hey, maybe this isn't for me? Or have you kind of always felt like you could see clearly that this is something you want to do come hell or high water?
Music in general, or what?
I mean, I guess so. Let's take it to a two-part question, because I am interested in both answers. So I feel like I can almost assume that you've, just from starting at such a young age, that it's something you've always had a clear identity of. But I'm also kind of curious. There must be do you have felt like an imposter at any point in this, and which type of like, it seems like some of the biggest names in music fight with this, and it's always comforting to me, at least when I see that people are like have that. So is there a moment in your career where you felt like, hey, maybe this isn't for me anymore?
I mean, so when I was starting, going into production engineering just off the bat was terrifying to me. I was a singer and I had no idea about anything in the technical side. It did not interest me in the beginning. Like, I was just like, no. I remember doing an intro class we had to take. It was called M-Tech at Berkeley. It was like the first like music technology class that you had to take. And my friend would do my projects for me. I was just a singer. Like, and I was studying music business because I wanted to be able to either manage myself or others, help people, protect them. But the technology side, I was like, wow. And then, so deciding to go into MP&E, that major was a big thing for me, just because also it was very male dominated at the time. There was one other girl in the program with me. And then two, you had to be accepted into the major. So you couldn't just declare it. So you had to submit like portfolio, and there were interview process and these things. And so it was really scary because it was a lot of men who were like, oh, I've been doing this forever. And I'm like, I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing. I just want to learn, And so
let me mansplain it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, I've been using Pro Tools forever. I'm like, cool. I don't know what it is, but it's cool because then you keep studying and then whatever. But so that was a big point. And I had really great mentors at the time who encouraged me, thankfully. And then, I think that we get to a point as we age, and we set our goals, right? So when I was starting my career, I would set my goals. I would be like, okay, this is where I want to be in 10 years. What does that mean for 5 years? 3, 2, 1, and like break my big goals down into smaller goals. So now I'm at the point where I did my first 10-year plan. I graduated Berkeley 10 years ago, and I've achieved what I set out to achieve. So now the next 10 years for me it's figuring out, okay, great. What do I love about what I've done? What doesn't bring me joy anymore? And that's okay. What brings me joy now? What sparks that same feeling that allowed me to build what I did the last 10 years? Because I think it's just important to follow your gut and joy, and we grow and our brains mature. And so that's why I'm branching out and broadening out a lot these days.
Right.
Yeah.
You might be the first person that I've spoken to in this whole conference that has a kind of a 10-year idea. I feel like a lot of people have been like 10 years. I can't even think about where we're going to be headed in 2 years. Oh, my camera's got a mind of its own. Does this occasionally. But are you doing anything right now that you couldn't have envisioned yourself doing like 5 years ago even?
Oh, 100%. Well, first of all, putting out my original music, I was so scared to do that before. And it was a really big thing for me to do, because also you get to this point in your job as a producer and working for other people that putting yourself out there, it's like, okay, you better come correct. Like this is my business card on me. And it's letting people see you in another light, in a much more vulnerable light, not so
Hmm.
polished, because like you have to be in music. And so one, the fact that I'm releasing music. Two, these retreats that I've started doing. So like I just got back from Tulum doing a vocal production retreat. And it was so rewarding because I'm teaching, I'm creating that safe environment. We provided 2 scholarship seats for 2 women in this, and everything's included. We worked with She's the Music, and um, yeah, I think honestly, there's a lot of things that I'm doing now that I think 5 years ago I would have been like, what? My Twitch streaming, the fact that I make all of my music for my project now live online, tuning my vocals, comping, cutting all of my vocals, it's like so vulnerable and stripped.
Hmm.
And 5 years ago, I don't know if I would have been in the headspace for that, because I was still struggling with, okay, how can I vocal produce myself? Because it's very different than vocal producing others. Vocal producing others, you're hired and you're brought in for that objectivity that you can provide. But when it's for yourself, it's like it's a whole nother skill to
Yeah.
learn to give like your own music that objectivity, so your comp doesn't look like a barcode with too many
Right.
so many
Right.
cuts in it. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, like the fact that I'm vlogging, the fact that I'm releasing courses. Honestly, 5 years ago, there's like so much of what I'm doing now. I just wouldn't
That
have.
you wouldn't have
Yeah,
picked out.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people I've spoken to, we visited, so I might as well just go here again. But
yeah,
pandemic happens.
yeah.
What are you up to at that point?
Oh,
you making music? Are you
yeah.
rapid
So
shift for your world, or
it was a rapid shift, but so I was living in Atlanta in beginning of 2020, and I decided to move to LA March 2020. So I moved here 4 days before the lockdown from Atlanta. So I moved in, got all my stuff, and I'm like, okay, guys, I'm ready to be here. And then the world shut down. And I ended up making some big life moves that time. I'm really grateful that I was here because sessions had stopped for a while. Obviously, eventually it started to go to, we're doing more things virtually, whatever. But for a while, people didn't know what was going on, how long this was going to last, whatever.
yeah?
So I ended up working at a music publishing company as their director of production. So I would be
Hmm.
giving notes on all the production, on all of the artists that we had. And because I have a music business degree too, and with
Right.
my production background, I'm like, okay, it was lovely because I had health insurance, sessions had slowed, and I took that as a moment to recalibrate. I had decided to leave my mentor at the time and go out on my own and build my own business. So I took that first year, 2020, 2021, to really figure out and reevaluate what I wanted out of the next 5 years, where I wanted to build. Do I want to bring on a new management team? Do I want to, like, what are my goals moving to LA? So that's what I did. And then I
Yeah.
was making music, obviously, just lots of music because we were inside.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, yeah, I was basically we might have been like 2 ships in the night because I left Los Angeles like I want to say a few months before the pandemic. I had like
Yeah.
I was enjoying it a lot there. It just something I had
Mhm.
this weird like I missed Canada suddenly, and I think there was like a false nuclear strike threat that I don't know if you remember this happening, but someone like put a sandwich down on a button in Hawaii or something like that, and it triggered like a nuclear strike threat to Los
That's
Angeles. Like
terrifying.
Amber Alert, waking up being like, seek shelter immediately. What? And then like
And you're like, also, how do you shelter from that? You just like,
it's like, but
what?
and I had never experienced an earthquake or anything like that. And there was like little minor things, and then for some reason it just tugged on this feeling that I wanted to go back to Toronto, and I was also working in the VR industry at that point, which was kind of on its way down from its big hype. But I had also been working with this company in Toronto for a long time, and they had a bunch of artists that were coming in for a song camp. So I get back to Toronto, and they're like, okay, we could use some of your help organizing this thing. And then all of a sudden people are fighting for toilet paper. COVID's announced.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, are we, all these flights are canceled. None of these artists are coming, but it was kind of a really, the client needs the music, the show must go on. So all these artists are now at home, and
Yeah.
the song camp, it was like, can we make it work? Can we make it virtual? So at that point I was like, yeah, Source Connect. Give me like Team Viewer and Source Connect, and I'll make it happen. So I was like calling everybody all around the world that, you know, were planning on flying in and getting into their modems, and like, what's your modem password? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, like, here's how to find it, and tell me the model. What does it look like? It was like such at that point, like there was, it felt really foreign to a lot of these people who are used to just being a performer and not being a techie person.
Yes.
And so I got like basically a crash course in what the support team at Source Elements does. And I wrote them an email. And I was like, I'd really like to be a part of this.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. And then, you know, at that time, Source Elements was, you can imagine how busy they were. So,
I remember
later,
that's when I found out about you guys.
Right.
Is because just, looking into all of these, how can we do this? We're going to have to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been an incredible journey. Like I'm so honored to be here for the 20th celebration of this, and to have Source Connect 4 out now, and to be working on all these amazing things, and it's just such a good company to all the way through it. Everyone, I mean, you've met some of our people, and it's I feel like I found my family. So
great.
Yeah, and it's honestly gone by in a blink. I also had a kid in that time, so it's a factor of time speed just getting cranked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe how long it's been already. But
totally.
Yeah, it's do you at that point, like at what point do you notice Twitch, and are you thinking like, hey, this is a platform I can use? Because I remember in the middle of the pandemic thinking I was going to do what you're doing, and I remember failing miserably at it, and going well, not failing. I never really tried that hard. I remember just sort of thinking, like, if you build it, they'll come, and I don't think that's necessarily true for.
I think it is.
I mean, and it might be. I really didn't build it. I basically turned it on one time and was like, are people going to show up?
And you're like, it didn't work, and you kept, because that's the worst when you first start, because when there's just like no one there and you have to be pretending like there are people there, and you're like,
that part awkward. Threw me off. I'd always been a behind the camera kind of person. And I was building pedal boards and all these cool things, and I was like, people probably want to see this stuff, and they might have, but I'm so fascinated by that process for people, and I think you've done such a really amazing thing. Like when I first
thank you.
Yeah, when I first discovered you, I remember just looking and being like, oh my God, all these amazing people that I know are following you. And I was like, well, there must be something going on here. And then I watched your content, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the real deal. This is like real deep production tricks and real sincere look behind the veil. So
thank you.
What was the journey like from your first time streaming and to getting to the point where it seems effortless to you now? So
thank you. I mean, it's funny because, man, I think Twitch is so much fun. I think that the opportunity there is so large, because as an independent artist, as doing anything, Twitch allows you to like really connect with your audience on a different level. People get really invested in you because you're spending so many hours together. It's not the polished content. It's just you're being yourself most of the time. And I think in the beginning, I got so stressed on stream. Oh my gosh. When I would, especially trying to make all my music on stream, if you look back at any of my early streams, they're on YouTube, but I can see it in me, how stressed I am. And then as it goes, because also there was like this thing of, I need to be productive. And I have bad ADHD sometimes.
Right.
And so there's this need to be productive, and I'm like, people are watching, I need to whatever. And then as you go, you realize, no, people just want to hang out with you and support you. And like I have I don't know, my Twitch community will take bets on how long it'll be that I'll actually focus, or they'll send me snacks, or we'll go on ice cream runs, or we'll do streams now where we'll bake. So like someone will share a recipe from their family and everyone will get the ingredients and we'll bake and then make music. And it brings me a lot of joy because also you get to know these people,
Mm-hmm.
obviously through usernames. But you get people that are like, hey, I want to moderate for you and I want to do these things. Then you start doing merch. Like we started doing merch. And like I love it so much because I don't know. It's like a really special little community. And now it doesn't stress me out. What
Mm-hmm.
stresses me out is the multi-streaming aspect of it. I'm trying to get more into that. So when I'm
Right.
streaming at the same time on Twitch, and always do Twitch and YouTube. But if I'm doing Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, that starts to stress me out because I'm like,
Understandably.
yeah. But Twitch, I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like people are just there to hang out with me, and the more I am myself, the better the streams go.
Mm. Is there a particular platform you feel like that your content doesn't work as well on? Like, I'm just curious, like,
Ooh,
or that it
yeah,
particularly works well on. I guess if we want to flip
yeah,
it into the positive there,
yeah,
but yeah, like
yeah.
they seem quite different. I mean, obviously,
They
aside from
are.
there's people there and it's video, but yeah,
Yeah.
where does it pop for you the most?
I mean, Twitch. I love Twitch because of the interaction.
Yeah.
Instagram I've done well on. I like Instagram a lot. TikTok I haven't done as well on, and I
Mm.
need to do more of the just stripped back things. But my content's historically performed better on Instagram than
Right.
TikTok for some reason. And then I don't know. I'm just getting into threads now, but I
Right.
feel like my content doesn't do. I don't know. It doesn't translate as well. But
Yeah.
this year is another year of the second half of this year. I'm spending a lot of time focusing on that piece, on the online piece, because one of my goals is to be able to live wherever I want. I'm in LA right now, but I want to be able to be based wherever I want, and Spain is where I want that to be right
Nice.
now. So next year, being able to do that. But that happens from being able to build my income online and being able to do virtual sessions and, things
Yeah.
like that.
Wow, you're a real digital nomad in the making.
I'm trying, listen, that's the goal.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've worked with some really iconic voices. Like, how do you help an artist to feel comfortable or to feel like themselves? What's Do you have
Yeah.
any tips to share on that front for all the engineers out there? That
Yeah. Um, so it's not to underestimate the humanness of it. Your
Mm,
technical skills are going to get you in the room, sure, but like who you are and how you treat people is what's going to keep you there or not. And there's like the little things of just like the human nature things that really help you. Like one of the first times that I was working with Jessie J, she would come in heels and then not want to sing in the heels because she wants to feel grounded. And so one of the next times working with her, I like bought her a pair of socks and like had them for her so she like her feet wouldn't be cold. And it's like it's just
amazing.
paying attention. It's
Yeah.
like little things like that, but making your artists feel comfortable, making them feel inspired to work. So you know, if the booth is scary and like clinical looking, it's not going to
Yeah.
be fun to like go and create in a lot of the times. It's like taking that time to do that, making sure that you're really prepared as well, so that as much as you can, you're avoiding any technical issues so that you can just stay in the creative zone. That's why I get to sessions like when I'm vocal producing. So I'm vocal producing tomorrow, and I'm getting there 2 hours early before the first session, even though they'll be set up for me. Like the assistant will set it up, but I need that time to make sure that we're good, so that when the artist comes in, they're not stressed because things aren't going right. Something's wrong with their headphones, like whatever. I just want to make sure all the tech is good.
Yeah.
Um,
A very different experience from what I experienced in Los Angeles. I remember being, it's like, okay, we're going to meet at 10, and it's like 11, and people are like, yeah, I'll
Oh,
be there in
I
20
mean, that's
minutes.
how it goes. That's 100% how it goes. Also,
Yeah.
because the traffic here is just,
It's a logistics thing 9 times out of 10 where people are like,
it's
hey,
scary.
it's funny that you planned that at 9 a.m. when you know I'm coming from Glendale or whatever. I was in Santa Monica. So,
Oh,
um,
yes.
yeah. The, has your identity as like a woman of color, do you feel like that shaped your place in this? Like, it sounds like, just even something as simple as what you were saying there with like understanding, someone coming in with heels and bring some socks, etc.
Yeah, it definitely has. I think in a positive way. I think in the beginning of my career, there were more, I don't know, negative things associated with it and obstacles that you have to get around and
Right.
prejudice that happens of people thinking and assuming that you don't know what you're doing. At this point in my career, I'm grateful that most people I'm working with are working with me because they know who I am. They know my work and these things. So I don't have to deal with that as much. Luckily, also the community of women that I have in this industry, I am so immensely grateful for, has definitely made a huge difference in my career. But yeah, it's definitely shaped. I mean, it's who I am. So it shapes everything that I do. I also, people will comment sometimes because I guess I tend to work with more female artists, and that's not on purpose or anything, but it just, and yeah,
that's I mean, it's great. I feel like there's so much, there's room for specialists of any type out there. It'd be a weird thing to call someone out and I'd be like, you're working with too many female artists. I'd be like, what?
Well, because it's the safe space. It's like, I think that's something I'm genuinely very good at. And I'm very proud of being good at that, is making people feel safe. And especially in the music industry, we're working in spaces that are soundproof a lot of the times, late hours at night. And so I take it very seriously, being a safe space for these artists and especially young women or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so important. Like, I produced a record once, and I remember the artist sitting, someone from the band came inside and they said, so I won't name names, but he's sitting outside right now and he's in the car. And I was like, what? Not going to come in the studio? And they're like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And I remember sitting down and just having a conversation, and there was so much anxiety built up around, it's such an intimate process to have someone like it, and it needs to be, I think, for that real stuff to pour out. And if you like, that thing could have fallen out of my hands immediately had I not, I don't remember what I said, but I knew that it mattered a lot to me that they felt really, really comfortable to make mistakes in front of me, to explore, and to not feel like we need to leave here by the end of, we got to leave with a full record in 2 days or, like, just throw all of that away. And so,
and in vocal production, that's like such a huge piece of it, because a lot of the times that magic lies in that space and just beyond our comfort zone, right? So it's creating that trust between you and your artist to make those mistakes, to reach for things they're not used to follow your lead if you have ideas or whatever, and that you're on a team with them, that it's not you against them, it's you guys together trying to achieve the same goal. So yeah, completely.
How do you have any tricks for I don't feel shameful asking, because I don't think there are tricks to it necessarily, but I'm kind of curious maybe to talk about some of your approaches to how you make someone feel comfortable, like what are, like for me, the device that I've always been able to use, I was always fortunate that the studio I worked at, it was mostly unused after hours. So I felt like I would, that ticking clock was something that I was able to throw away and pull away from people's minds and explore a little bit. But I know that that's a luxury that not a lot of people have. So is there anything that you can think of that you've done that kind of made a big difference in having a breakthrough of that comfort and trust with anyone?
It's honestly, I think that the biggest thing is making sure you're working on yourself. Because if you're coming in and you have anxiety, or you have, like you were talking earlier about imposter syndrome, whatever, it's like the artist feels that. So it's really important to come in a blank slate for whatever it is that they're going through, to be calm, even in troubleshooting. It's like to be able to be, you're competent, right? Like you're an expert in what you do, but the energy that you're bringing in is very even keel. It's very calm. It's very comforting. Um, I'm also like a big cheerleader of my artists, like all the time, like because I'm so in it with them. Like I get so into the emotion, like I'll be standing up or yelling or like I don't know, like I'm very just like in it, and it's very genuine. So yeah, I think that I don't know. My advice would just be to definitely work on yourself and do any kind of healing work you need to,
Yeah.
so that you can show up for your art as well.
Is that an important part of how you approach things? Like, do you find you say no more than you do yes to projects? Is it important to have that kind of connection
Yeah.
where you feel like you can bring that enthusiasm
Yeah. It's a very good question.
without, or can you call it up? Like, it seems like you're genuinely
Yeah.
an enthusiastic person. So
Yeah.
is that, maybe that's part of the
Part of it. That's definitely part of
self-help?
it. Because I also am, right? Like I am an enthusiastic person. So like even if I'm not like, let's say a fan of the music that I'm working on, I'm still in the emotion with them. Like, and I'm
Right.
still like very genuinely like in this thing. Like when I vocal produce, my friends will make fun of me because it looks like I'm body rolling all the time. But I'm just like, I'm moving like it's like,
feeling it.
I don't know. I'm very physical, like in the emotion that we're building and crafting. So yeah, I mean, now I am at the place where I can turn down things that don't feel like they align, and that's a blessing. But obviously, earlier on, you can't
Yeah,
do that.
right.
And yeah, I just learned to be able to, even if I'm not a fan of the music, I'm gonna make sure that that person feels really
Yeah.
comfortable and really supported, and that's really genuine. So
Right.
I can get passionate about getting the music to come out the way that we want it to. You know?
Absolutely. I totally understand that. What's the difference between a technically good vocal take and a great one?
Oh, okay. So it's like all of the indescribable things. Like it's all like the little man, when you can hear what the singer is feeling, right?
Yeah.
You can sing something technically well. That's why there's a big difference between vocal producers and vocal coaches, because something can be technically terrible but really evoke that emotion that needs to come out in the record, and vice versa. It can be technically amazing and feel lackluster. So to me, the difference between like a technically great take and like vocal produced great take, it's the emotion. It's what it reaches out of the speakers and says, "Hey, I'm feeling this emotion. Do you want to feel it too?" You know, like in a way. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, you've worked on some pretty major hits. Is there one that you feel especially proud of, and why?
I mean, I think that any of the work that I've started to do in the Latin industry, I feel very grateful for, because my Latinidad is a very big part of who I am. And also I grew up not speaking Spanish, so I'm Puerto Rican, but, didn't grow up speaking Spanish. So it was a really big insecurity for me for a long time, because I always wanted to. So yeah, I worked to learn it as an adult. That's why I keep going and spending time in different Spanish speaking countries. But to be welcomed into that community so open arms, that's made a really big difference in my life. And it just feels like it's different than, it's like, yes, you work on these things that touch all these different people. But when I get to work on something that's like also like that's in the Latin music industry, it's just that much, it's more special for my heart. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you still get nervous when you start a new project?
That's a really good question. I think that the nerves come for different reasons. I think that I used to get nervous for, oh, I hope that I do a good job. Oh, I want to
Right.
make sure that whatever. And it's funny because I used to feel this when I was working on really big things, but it's like, and then I would vocal produce and I'd be like, oh yeah, I know, like I'm great at this. But it's like, but it's a thing. It's just like in your brain because you care a lot about it. Now, I wouldn't say I get nervous. It's that I see different things that then I'll have like my spidey senses up for a little bit. Be like, oh, okay, like this label is disagreeing with what the artist wants. And so like I have to make sure that I'm doing something that's going to make both of them happy and the producer, right? So it's more things like that I'm like, oh, I hope that I can do that, right? They're bringing me in to make three people that want different things all happy with one thing. So those are more things that I wouldn't say it gives me nerves, but it gives me just more like spidey senses up. I think that the nervousness has been calmed genuinely from like a lot of the self work that I've done.
Right.
And that's why I think that that's so important, because if I'm going in nervous, I don't know, it's like, it's going to affect everything, the way that I interact, the way, I don't know, everything goes.
I think I mean I imagine the going in 2 hours early thing is how you don't
Yes.
get nervous, right? Like that's
Exactly.
it's preparation and feeling
Yes.
like you've given yourself time to weed out all the unknowns,
Exactly.
and feel it out. So let's get techie for a sec then, because I really do you have a go-to channel strip, or do you travel with certain gear to a session, or do you try and get people to come to you?
Yeah. So normally what I'm doing is the artist is working out of the studio that they feel comfortable with, or I recommend studios that I like to work at. Regardless, I'm either going to have them set up or rent in the gear that I want to use for my vocal chain. So it's normally Neve 1073, Tube Tech CL1B, and then the mic that I deem appropriate for the song, for the voice. Obviously, it depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a pretty good catalog in your mind of mics and who they're going to work for at this point? So
yeah, but it's also the record. So it's like, it's the voice, and then it's and the record too.
Yeah, I was always envious of those people that had been around and a lot of different mics in different rooms and stuff like that and understood it. So
yeah,
if I were to say, breathy, someone, a female breathy, young contemporary pop, what would be your go-to? What do you think?
For like pop?
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on like how breathy, because like, is her voice higher? Is it lower? Like, is it a lot of falsetto, or like what? Is it like belty high breathy, or is it just like airy breathy?
Falsetto-y, let's say.
Falsetto-y?
Yeah.
It depends on also the pop record. Because I mean, a C800 is great because it's going to like push your pop thing. It's going to go pop right down the middle, like that frequency spectrum. Cool. But then depending on the vocalist, depending on the song, that could be too harsh for them. It could make your S's and stuff like all go crazy high end wise. So like my second choice for a record like that would be a Soyuz 017.
Nice.
Because it gives you that beautiful high end, but also a nice low end. So like it could end up rounding out the voice some more if it needs it.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to be, there's like a lot of people's like penultimate microphone is like a U87 or a U67 or any of these sort of vintage Neumanns. Do you subscribe to that, or do you feel like there's a lot of sleepers out there in the contemporary side of things?
There's sleepers out there. I mean, I have a U87 and I don't use it anymore, to be honest with you. I mean, I did on this retreat in Tulum. Still sounds beautiful. I am very obsessed. I have a Soyuz 017 tube mic now. And they tricked me. They said, hey, try it. And then I couldn't give it back because I love it. It is just like my first time singing on that mic. I felt like I was hearing my voice for the first time, and like details in my voice that I had never captured before. And I brought it to a studio just for the record here in Sun Valley. And we did a shootout, capsules lined up with a 251, because I was like, this is giving me so much 251 energy, but just like with slightly more detailed high end. And that's exactly what this frequency response showed. It's almost identical. It is wild how close it is to a 251, but with a more detailed high end. And man, I love that microphone. It is so fun to make art on. So yeah, I mean, the U87 and 67, like all those kind of things, really beautiful. They don't give as much of a musical high end, like a detailed musical high end. I think that they can be a little bit harsh. Like a U87 can be a little harsh around 4K or so. And so I don't know. It just depends.
Yeah. Do you still get surprised by some, like at least I found that all the time. I'd be like, I think I have. And so do you have a back pocket microphone that you bring with you in any case? Like just being like, you know what? I'm just going to bring this one because you never know. This SM7B or whatever has always surprised me.
I love an SM7B. Oh my gosh, I use that almost most days of my life. Yeah, it's so helpful. I do always have a SM7B in my backpack.
Nice.
But As far as like the other mics, I'm usually working in a studio that has like an extensive mic
Sure. Yeah.
cabinet.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky to not really have to, but I, if I needed to, I would bring
Yeah.
around my Soyuz just because I'm like, oh, I know I can get a beautiful vocal and like most voices on that.
Sure.
And it makes me excited to make
Do
music.
you make music for yourself on the road?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, in Tulum, I mean, that's so the retreat that we were doing, it was for other people and I was teaching, but I felt really inspired as well, just like learning from the people there. And I just think we're in such a cool time now. I mean, obviously, this is not like a unique thought, but we're at such a cool time now where you can record professional things kind of wherever, the boundaries between like needing to have like a studio or whatever, like those walls are breaking down further and further. And, part of like me going to Spain, me doing these things, it's like I want to be in environments that inspire me and that I love. Oh my gosh, even just like going to like a square somewhere, or I'll go to the beach or like whatever, bring my interface, bring an SM7 and write or make music. And it is my favorite. It's so fun.
What role does technology play in your creative freedom? Does it empower or constrain?
It empowers.
Yeah.
It empowers so hard now because Pro Tools is my instrument. So I don't play like a traditional instrument. I can get by on piano. I can get by on guitar. I'm not a pianist or a guitarist. And in the beginning of, my experience as a singer, as an artist, that really acted as such a constraint for me. And I didn't know how to write music that I didn't know the chords for or whatever. And it felt like, oh, I was really stuck because of that. Now, oh my gosh, it is such an extension of my creativity, of my being. Like Pro Tools is such an extension of me that like my hands will move faster than my brain moves sometimes. Yeah. And that's cool to get to that point where it's just like the technology doesn't stand in the way. It's just there to support you. Like it is. Yeah. I think it's the best thing. It's enabled my creativity. And then even now with AI advancing more and more, like there's just so many things that it just opens the door for creatively.
What do you think is the missing tool that you're like, why hasn't anyone done this yet? And just talking about AI there for a second makes me think about that. I feel like that every day. I open Pro Tools, but
yeah, the missing tool. It's a really good question.
Or something you wish that you're like, this is such a painful part of this whole process that.
Yeah, I mean, I still am not happy with. See how I phrase this. The vocal aligning softwares that exist right now, they're getting so much better, but it is such a painful part of the process. And I'm doing all of it by hand most of the time now, still in Melodyne, the tuning and the lining up of vocals.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited for that to get less and less artifacty. It's getting so much better. My favorite of the tools out there right now is Sync VX Pro from Waves.
Oh, I haven't tried that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's new. And it's very integrated into Pro Tools and ARA, which is lovely. It's like, it's very intuitive.
Yeah.
But, it's just, I'm excited for them to just get better.
Take it up a notch.
Yeah, to like take that out of my, like that takes up so much time. Like take that off my plate, please.
How do you protect your creative energy when the industry demands so much of it?
That's a really good question. I mean, it's just, I know I keep talking about mental health and things like that, but I've just been in such a 2 years of that, of really digging into that, because it's hard. This is an industry it's a service industry, right? Like we're in the service industry. And at the beginning of my career, also the middle of my career, a lot of my career, probably 2/3 of my career so far, I had a big hard time to say no to projects, or because it's like, oh, you think like, oh, if I'm not available, then whatever. And it's like that, the scarcity mindset of it that makes it so that you're also not doing, you're not full. Your cup is not full. You've not been able to sleep well. You've not been able to do all like the human stuff. Mm-hmm. And then your creativity lacks from that in your vocal production, in working on your own music, whatever. So now, I don't know. I think that for me, it was I had to really realize with myself and come to terms with myself. It's like, no, this to me is equally important. It's no more like I'm a vocal producer and then these things. It's like,
Yeah.
no, they're equal. So I need to treat them both with respect and treat my creativity with respect. So yeah, I don't know. I've just gotten very sensitive to things that don't feel aligned with what I'm trying to do now, and very just in that vibe, and leaving situations that don't feed me, even if they're cool opportunities. If they're not feeding me, if they don't feel right, like it's okay to walk away from them now.
Gotcha. What would you tell your 16-year-old self if you could?
That I don't know if I would tell myself anything, honestly. I'm very happy with where I am now.
Yep.
So maybe it's just something very simple, like it'll be fine. But I was so driven at 16 and just like very like I'm gonna accomplish all the things. And I'm grateful that I had that energy. And even if it took me a long time to get back to singing, I'm so grateful for that hiatus that I took, because now I can finally make the music that I want to, because I took the time to learn that side of the tech, So I don't know.
Yeah, oh, that's good. Are there any genres of voices that you haven't worked with that you're dying to explore?
Yeah. Ooh. That I'm dying to explore.
Yeah.
I would love to work in salsa music. I haven't worked at all in salsa music, and I dance so much salsa and bachata, and I would love to work in that.
What is
honestly probably my top.
Yeah. Is there something about that, like that you feel like is fundamentally different, and maybe what stopped you from pursuing that at this point? I mean, you're on top of a lot of different things right now, so no pressure, but
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, so I am gonna put out a salsa project myself. There's a salsa producer that I'm gonna work with to do this. I think that salsa is so special because it's one of the voices that exist in salsa music tend to be a lot deeper too, and like richer voices, and sometimes more mature voices. Like there's not so much of like the ageism on it too. Like it's more respected to be a singer of a certain age or whatever. And it's like, oh, you're an icon, you're this. And I think that's beautiful. And it's the storytelling in it, the emotion in it, that's just so visceral. And yeah, I love it. I mean, to be honest, what's holding me back is that I need to be fluent in Spanish so bad. I mean,
Right.
like I'm cool. I can get by, but it's not fluent. So that's why, again, I'm spending so much time to better my Spanish and
Right.
spend more time in Spanish-speaking countries so that I can do more things also in the Latin industry. So like my project, what I'm doing is releasing all the music that I have in English and Spanish forever. So it takes a lot of work, but it's very fun. And so the rest of my EP in Spanish will come out next month. And yeah,
very cool.
Doing things. Thanks.
I have a lot of blind spots there. I mean, I watched Maria Elise Ireby. Am I saying that right? I saw her.
I'm seeing her tomorrow.
Oh, amazing! She blew me away. I watched her unpack one of her sessions at NAMM.
Yeah.
And she was like, and this beat's like from this genre that I've never heard of, and this is this bass line's doing this from this genre, and I was like, I know nothing about this. This, and I didn't know there's like 50 subgenres to something that in my mind is like, I'm like, it's almost sounds Afrobeat to me. Like, and I would like to consider myself to be like somewhat, reasonably well versed, but it's such a huge world of music, and there's so much to learn. Mm-hmm. So, how do you keep growing? What are your
music?
Yeah, what like, even maybe let's put music aside for a sec. What do you like to do when you're not thinking about music? What are some of your other major passions? What do you do to unwind? And
good question. Well, okay, one is I'm much more introverted than people think. I think that sometimes people think because I'm bubbly, whatever, that I'm extroverted, and no, I'm quite introverted, and I need that time to cocoon. So sometimes I'm cocooning, or honestly, a lot of the time now, I'm like working on the different ventures of different things that I want to build because I feel very inspired right now. So it's a season of that for me. But I also dance salsa and bachata. I have this amazing group of friends here, and then we go out. And when I'm in Spain as well, like I go out dancing quite a bit. It is something that really brings me joy. Um, and I love walks. I know maybe that's like silly to say. I love a walk. I love a good long walk. So I take walks a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was determined because in Toronto, I never had a car. It's like, it's just normal in Toronto.
So
like,
nice.
It's like parking's a nightmare in most scenarios. So I remember getting to Los Angeles and I was determined to do it without a car. And it didn't work quite as planned, but I remember walking from like literally like Glendale to Santa Monica and being like, I'm going to do it. It's not that long. It's like, it's literally be like walking.
Yeah, but there's no infrastructure for it.
That's the thing.
So were you walking on the highway?
No, I took like Hollywood Boulevard. There's chunks of it that are just like, oh, this is not fun. And that's the part that I had not thought of, but it is surprisingly doable. Like, I think I took an Uber from like to the other side at like 8 a.m. I had a meeting and I was like, you know what? I got nothing else planned for the day. I'm just going to see how far I get before like 6 p.m. And I did it. And I was like, oh, but I just remember people looking at me like I was an alien. There's certain stretches where they're like,
this
what are
does
you
not
doing?
happen here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's wild. That's very cool. I don't think that's another reason I would want to be able to be based wherever I want, and why tools like what you guys make are so important, because man, a walkable city, a city where you don't have to be, where public transit is like reliable, or being able to bike, like it's so beautiful, especially when we're spending so much time behind our desks creating, like to be able to go outside.
Hell yeah. I think it's so important to the creative process. I think, it's kind of easy. And like, if you're in the technical side of the grind, and even then, I don't know if this is necessarily true or healthy for anyone that's in that to kind of just stay. But if you're trying to be inspired, I think your brain needs that break of
100%.
Get away from it, hear other people's ideas, and then starts to reinvigorate. So
absolutely.
What's next for you? Any major exciting projects coming up on the horizon?
Yeah, so I'll release my the rest of my EP in Spanish it's like the beginning of next month, end of this month. And then I'm releasing I'm releasing my second EP this year as well in English. And just making music, sharing it. I started vlogging because it activates a part of my inner child that's really fun, and I really wanted to nurture again. And it's very fun to just show up on the internet and show these things that you're building like from scratch. And Twitch, and my Melodyne course is launching. So if you're interested in that, that's in my bio now. Definitely. So that's very exciting. And
Melodyne is something I feel like I've only ever scratched the surface of. I kind of use it in such a bare bones way. So I'll definitely check that out. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. People have been asking me to do it for so long, and I finally feel like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Nice. So, I'm just curious, do you do any sort of live classes?
Yes, so that's what the Melodyne. Oh, the
Melodyne, mean? like aside from like the live streams, like live sort of bi-directional, or maybe that's even a part of the Twitch stuff. Forgive my ignorance,
so like just one-on-one.
Yeah, or maybe like smaller group type sessions as well.
So the Melodyne one is going to be 2 courses, one beginner, one advanced, and they're 10 people that can be in them, and they are live. It's 4-week intensive. And then I'm going to be doing at the end of this year, I'm releasing one of those as well, called like Recording Yourself Better at Home. It's more for singers that have no tech background, that really want to learn how to, be able to make their art and be in charge of that. And then I also just started opening up on my website some more one-on-one things like that, because the technical help, the consulting, the vocal production help, like all of that, people can book me now on my website to do that one-on-one thing. But then Twitch, I share a lot of information as well.
Right. Yeah.
It's a fun community.
Have you? Is there one particular tool that we make that you feel like has, changed the game more than others for you?
Oh, I mean, the Source Nexus gateway, like the Source Nexus, like that whole
The whole suite.
thing. Yeah, Source Nexus router, like Source Nexus review. It's like responsible for me being able to be a Twitch streamer, 100%, hands down. Because before that, my streams, I would have to end my stream like 5 times around every time because the audio engines would get like upset. The routing with between OBS or Streamlabs, like, yeah, and with Pro Tools, because I'm showing like the technical side of things, right? So there's so much audio routing that's going on, be it like my desktop audio, my UAD, my whatever sound effects that I have. And so when Vincent came on and I met you guys at NAMM again, and he was like, he just like sorted my whole life. And I can't, it baffles me to think that was my life before, that it would just like 5 times a stream. I would have to start over, restart my stream, restart. Wild. It is. Yeah. That would change my life a lot.
I love hearing it. Yeah. They did some voodoo behind that thing. The clocking is really magic. I think is the real special thing there that just seems to like, it doesn't, people do some crazy things with it. Like within our company, even like we'll often try to push things to the edges, and like AirPods and things like that are not always the most friendly thing when, they're running in strange sample rates. It's a bit of a mystery. Sometimes, like Logic is kind of the worst of them all or used to be. I don't mean to throw any shade on Logic. I honestly pride myself on loving all the DAWs for their different things, but it used to get so finicky with any sort of device that's opened and had a different sample rate. All of a sudden it would...
I mean, Pro Tools too. It's like...
Yeah,
pay attention to me.
Pro Tools is a hog. It's like got its own problems where it's like everything should be mine right now. Nothing should be trying to do anything else.
And you're like, excuse me, it's okay.
Yeah.
On my stream, we have a Pro Tools is angry emote. It's like when everyone just gets upset. But yeah,
amazing.
It's magic. It really is. And I think that more streamers need to know about it, especially music streamers. I find that I was looking for this solution for a while, and I'm so grateful to have found you guys. And I want to make sure more people know that this is a thing, because the amount of times the streamers will be like, oh, but I only have one computer. I can't do what you're doing. I'm like, I'm running all off of one computer. Everything is just a laptop, and it's possible because of what you guys make. So,
I love hearing that. 10,000 foot view. We can, music stuff aside, music stuff included too.
Yeah.
If you had a magic wand right now and you could fix any one thing to do with our world or our industry, what would you do with it?
Oh God. Make sure people get paid better, that the revenue streams, like streaming would actually pay well. Like the whole revenue stream of the music industry is so messed up right now, and creators are not being paid what they should be. And so I would fix that, because it would trickle out to fix everything else.
Amen.
I think.
Amen. Simone, such a treat to chat with you.
So
I'm really thankful for your time. I hope that we get to chat again soon. In fact, I know I know we will, because I want to. We've got some tools that we want to put in your hands here and help.
I'm really excited.
Rolling with. So nice.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure.